Hello. My name is Diogo Rispoli. I'm a Master Fortify Solutions Architect, and today we'll be discussing CI integrations with Fortify. This session is actually divided into two sessions. We have integration with a lot of tools, different tools, and we can virtually integrate any CI/CD tool in the market. So we'll be covering the most popular ones. First session, we'll be talking about GitHub, GitLab, and Bamboo, and strategies that you can use and leverage to do the same integration on the less popular tools. And also on the second part, we'll be talking about Jenkins and Azure DevOps. The main purpose is show you how to leverage Fortify fully integrated on your CI/CD lifecycle as part as your development testing cycles. Um, Covering GitHub, GitLab, Bamboo, and other tools that we don't have native integrations, but we have tools that will help you get there, leverage all the powerful features of Fortify. Starting with GitHub, GitHub is started as a source code repository, not moved away, but introduced new features on the last couple of years regarding CI/CD capabilities, and GitHub introduced as a way of triggering workflows and tasks on their pipeline, what they call GitHub Actions, and Fortify provides GitHub Actions templates that you can leverage and you can extend on your workflow configuration to make sure not only you have results on your pipeline, but also you will see you have Fortify testing early and often on your cycle. So to find the Fortify actions for GitHub, you can go directly to the GitHub marketplace and search for Fortify. And you see four different options here. First of all, Fortify on-demand integration. So this action will provide you the means to integrate with Fortify on-demand and trigger your scans and get your results back on your pipeline and even take decisions, if you will. The same way, we will have a Fortify Scan Central GitHub action. This action is meant to integrate Fortify on premise using the Scan Central tool, Scan Central feature to uh, send source code and libraries from your CI/CD or your GitHub runner to or Fortify Scan Central sensors. Fortify will check that source code and libraries for vulnerabilities and will provide results back on your pipeline, and also will upload the results on Fortify SSC or a tool for vulnerability management. Same way will happen with Fortify on Demand. When you scan with Fortify on Demand, the final results will be brought back to your Fortify on Demand tenant. And on the Fortify on Demand portal, you can check the results. You can trigger different integrations to bug tracker utilities the same way you can do with Software Security Center, and you can achieve and distribute and check and audit all those results. So with Fortify Scan Central template, what you see is um, how to trigger, get that source code, package that source code, and send that source code to your sensors. Doing that, you have to be aware that your runner, your GitHub runner has to have connectivity with your Fortify Scan Central infrastructure and also with your Fortify SSC. For this purpose, on my session, I'll be using what we call a self-hosted runner. And a self-hosted runner is very useful here because we can overcome all those um, connectivity issues and make sure we can connect both tools end to end. This is a sample that illustrates how to invoke Scan Central Client, that lightweight client, so you don't have to install the full Fortify SCA on your runner to trigger a scan. So you understand the difference between those two. The Fortify client will provide you a footprint of something around 70 maybe 80 megabytes of installers. And with Fortify SCA, will you will have to install a tool that has a footprint of around 1 gigabyte. So those tools are very different in size and also very different in uh, resource consumption. So the client consumes very little resource, so you can keep your runners using a very limited amount of CPU, memory, RAM memory, and disk, and you can have a more powerful infrastructure for your Scan Central sensors, where we'll be installing and using and running the 4.5 scans, crunching all that source code, finding the vulnerabilities, the issues, and also taking decisions, based on the results you have. So just a little overview of this GitHub action workflow. So you have a setup for tools to check out the source code from GitHub, and also some basic setup that will allow the Scan Central client to run. You'll be using a GitHub Scan Central client that will be providing for you in the most current version, and you can create configurations on top of it. So you can override variables, environment variables, and override, some configurations. Just as a disclaimer, I'll be using this GitHub action in a self-hosted agent in Windows, and this requires slightly different configurations that what you see here on this GitHub template. And I'll show the difference in a minute when I go to my project, the project I'll be using. And you also find these considerations here on the end of your of the GitHub Actions information, and you have some information that will also help you to set up this integration and start scanning. For this purpose, you have to have Scan Central on your SSC. Scan Central has two different parts. One that we call Scan Central Controller, the tool that will be receiving all the scan requests, finding the the right sensor in the pool of sensor that's adequate for the type of scanning you're trying to run, and we'll ship that, and we'll orchestrate all the scanning workflow. And you also have what we call Scan Central sensors. So you have to have those set up to leverage this GitHub Scan Central client action. let's go to a project so I can show you how to configure and integrate those things. So when you come here and you click on action, you can add a new workflow. That new workflow can use that template that I show you. In my case, I'll be uh, leverage this template, but it will be customizing a little bit to fit to my purpose. And you can also extend the configuration using the Scan Central, GitHub action and the client in the latest version. Creating a new workflow, we'll be looking for a custom workflow. And sorry about that. Skip this and setup. So you'll be looking at, let's start again. While looking to create a new action, you click on new workflow, and that new workflow, you can look for the Fortify workflow in the hints or the suggestions GitHub is giving you, or you can just set up a new workflow by yourself. You can change the name for the name of you that you will. So in this case, I will be using Fortify Scan Central SAS YAML file. The name doesn't matter. Scan, GitHub will save that under the workflow folder on your project, and everything that's under the workflow folder will be will be used as a workflow and can be triggered as a workflow later. In my case, since I'll be customizing, what I'll do is I'll just copy here all the template. I'll be overriding this configuration that we have. I'll be also checking if everything is in the right version. In this case, I'll be just updating to use the latest version. And in this case, I'm good to go. Since I don't like the idea of having my application inversion embedded on my Fortify Scan Central SAS YAML file, I will also be creating two different variables here to take care of this and also make my new script a little bit more customizable. So I'll just put a new name for both of them. So I'm customizing my application name and version, and I'll be setting up those later before I run this workflow. And where I do this, after I save this file and commit this file, I won't do this because I have something already set up for us, but you can come here on settings, look for secrets, and create the secrets, mapping not only the application and the version, but also some useful information for your Scan Central desk. And that useful information is an upload token. The type of token we'll be using here is the Fortify Scan Central token, and we'll put your full, not SSC URL, but your full Scan Central controller URL. The Scan Central controller tool will take care of finding your Fortify SSC URL and will check in with your SSC, and after the fact will upload the results back on your SSC. So Scan Central URL, SSC upload token, application version, and if you want your Scan Central client authenticating on your Scan Central controller, you have to also provide the Scan Central client token that you have configured on your Scan Central controller. So those are the basic configurations you have to do to get your action running. So after you save your action, if you after you create your secrets with the information you like, you will see a folder .github/workflow in your project with the YAML file you created. So I made some changes. So I created, I changed the GitHub action to make it available for my self-hosted agent in Windows. If you're using a self-hosted agent in Linux, you can just leverage the Fortify Scan Central template the way it is out of the box. Um, you also see, so let me just browse the files here, open this so I can show you better. Um, so you also see not only the environment variables here, but you also see that I changed, as I told you, the Fortify SSC in version. And after all this is quick setup, the only thing that we have to do is go back to actions and click on our action if you want to see the action working, as a manual effort, and run the workflow. The way my workflow is set up, not only I can trigger a Fortify workflow manually, but I also can, as soon as I have some source, some commit on my repository, it will trigger 4.5 for us. And just to see what's going on, let's watch the execution of this GitHub action workflow. So we are checking out the source code. We are setting up Java. We are doing all the tasks. And now we are running a Fortify assessed scan. If you look here, what this is doing, it's packaging the source code and sending that to your SSC. After we finish this step, so we have a job submitted. So I'll log in on your Fortify SSC, on my Fortify SSC, and I'll show you what's happening there. If you come to your Scan Central tab on your SSC, what you see is a scan running for the project 8-ball, the project we are using on GitHub. And after the scan finishes, we will see an uploaded completed task. This tells me that the process has run end to end. And not only you can do this for GitHub, but you can also do this for GitLab and for different other tools. Same thing you can accomplish for Fortify on demand. So I'll go back here to actions, and I'm lucky that I can see Fortify on demand here. And with Fortify on demand, it's a slightly different configuration. You don't have to worry about self-hosted agents because the GitHub hosted agents already have all the integration with, or in all the communication ports and IPs open to Fortify on demand. So you don't definitely need to worry about opening or making it available, because will happen out of the box for you. These steps are basically the same. So we check out the code, we do the base configuration, We look at the Scan Central client to package your source code, and you also have the Fortify on Demand Universal CI tool, the tool I told you guys that can be used to integrate with any CI/CD tool in the market for FOG, and this tool is called FOG Uploader. And hey, Diogo, where do I find the FOG uploader? The FOG uploader is on GitHub, no pun intended. On GitHub, we have a GitHub repository with a lot of different samples, a lot of different tools, and the FOG uploader tool is also on GitHub. Not only the latest releases, but also some previous releases. And on top of that, we also have the source code. So let me just open here. This is the Fortify on Demand GitHub repository. And you see here, you have, oh, this is the Jenkins plugin. Sorry about that. But the FOG uploader. So you can leverage the source code. And if you want to do any special integration that we don't provide out of the box on the Fortify on Demand uploader, the FOG uploader, you can just, download the source code, run, create the integrations. It's a Java tool. So this is a fantastic tool, and you have a better grasp of um, the FOG API calls. So this is fantastic. I use I use it all the time, and my customers they use it all the time. So this is a very nice source of information, and you can not only use the GitHub action tool and configuration we have in place for the FOG uploader, but you also can download the tool and create your own integration if that's the best way to do it. So you can download the tool directly from GitHub, even the binary. You can download the source code. This is the source code for this version, the latest version, but you can also uh, you can also go and get the latest changes on the GitHub repository itself. So same way to configure, you can just copy the action, come here on your project, and I'll go back to this in a second. And so you see here, scan is done, everything is done. If you go to your dashboard or your applications, better applications, look at 8-ball, you see we have, and if you look here at the time of my clock, you see we have a project that was just uploaded, 4 minutes ago. So I'm talking too much probably, but you can look at the issues, you can check the issues on your SSC, and you can do configure, predict, use audit the system, use all everything you want to audit, and provide the results, generate reports, or have your developers connecting with SSC to download the results back on their IDs. Execution is finished. Just to show you guys, everything is all set on GitHub. Moving away from GitHub, we'll be talking about GitLab. So let me just open GitLab here, go back to our project, and I'll show you guys in a second my project here. Again, using 8-ball. I wanted to use 8-ball because it's a quick project, so we can have things done quickly and we can see results and everything happening real time during the presentation. But also, I'm using 8-ball because it's a project that you can leverage to on your test environment, on your lab environment, while trying those things before you put those to action. So on GitLab, what you see is the GitLab template. So under Fortify, I'm going back here. So we have Fortify, we have the 8-ball simple project, and we also have the GitLab CI templates. GitLab CI templates will provide the same level of integration you see on Fortify on GitHub to GitLab. Again, GitLab started as a repository tool. It's been adding a lot of CI/CD capabilities to it, and you can provide the same sort of configuration using Fortify Scan Central or the FOD uploader. Again, some informations regarding the variables you have to set for Fortify on demand, informations you have to set for Fortify on premise, and um, some extra information regarding the configuration process. While clicking on templates, you see two different templates. Fortify Scan Central Desk, so that's the one I'll be showing you guys. You have a Fortify Docker image with the what we call the CI tools, the FOG uploader, and the Scan Central client that you can leverage and use. And again, you can just import. So I'll show you on the sample project here. You can just import on your GitLab CI and override the variables you have and have the scans done. So that's one way to do it. But I'm always doing something in a different way, right? So I'll be leveraging the template itself to configure my GitLab CI and use use that template, that modify a template to achieve my goals. So in my case, I will also use the Fortify Scan Central SaaS template. And it's basically, the variables and the script. I'll be changing the SSC app in version to accommodate my project configurations, so I'll control in a different way. You can definitely leverage the information you have on your CI project. And I will also set up my URL. Again, this is a Scan Central URL and a Scan Central token that you generate on your SSC. Going back to my GitLab, because those are the GitLab CI templates you get from gitlab.com. I have an on-premise tool with an on-premise runner. GitLab and GitHub, they both call runners their agents, so that's why I'm calling them runners here. So it's a GitLab runner with 8-ball, and the difference is, while on GitHub you have a workflow folder inside your project, here what you have is a gitlab-ci.yaml file. When you click on that Fortify YAML file, what you see is some configurations. You can have as many tasks as you want before you get to the Fortify Scan Central. And what I see in terms of configuration pipeline in a lot of my customers, they first run the build process, after they run the QA test, and after that they trigger scans on Fortify. And as I told you guys, I did some changes on my script. I define directly on the script the variables, the name of the project, the version on SSC, my token, and also my SSC URL. And here you see the Scan Central URL with the build tool options. This is something I didn't talk about GitHub, but the concept is the same. You have the build options. This is meant for Maven, but if you're doing, for example, for JavaScript, for .NET, MS Build, or a different build tool, dash BT means dash build tool. You will change that configuration, and Scan Central will leverage what you have inside your project. So a .xml file, a .NET solution, your npm configuration to get your source code packaged, and also your libraries packaged in the same zip file to run on your Fortify on demand or your Fortify on-premise instance. So after I did these changes, if I edit this or I change anything, it will run automatically, but I can also go directly to my pipeline and retry my task. And I'll just click here so we can follow the logs. And we can also go back to our Fortify SSC to see how things are going over there. While it's running, it will take like 1-2 minutes to run here. We can come back later and check. Um, I'll just navigate you through the Fortify on-demand template. So Fortify on-demand template for SaaS, we'll use the same base image for the CI tools. You can change the package options here. So dash BT, dash AMS build, or whatever. And you also have some variables that you can use, that you can change, that you can leverage. First of all is your FOG URL. Um, Depending on the region, because I imagine uh, different people from different regions will watch this video. So depending on the region you are right now, we will leverage different data centers for Fortify. And this has to do with laws and compliance and all different sort of things. But for Fortify on demand, what you see as default on this, at least this GitLab template, is the URL for the American data center. So you have the American instance of Fortify here, so AMS. And the same happens for the Fortify API URL. But if you're using a different a data center from a different region, the only thing you have to do is um, update that information to reflect on your the data center, the region you are using. Those are options for the FOG uploader. So going back to the FOG uploader, if we scroll down the readme.md on the repository, you will find a lot of nice information about the options you have on the FOG uploader. And with a lot of explanation, some sample usage, what's required, what's not required, where you can find that information, the type of information you give, the short name, the long name, so everything to make your life easier while configuring Git, GitLab or FOG uploader, no matter the tool, right? And you know, you will see the packager that will package the source code, and also the FOG uploader that will run and that will trigger a scan on FOG. And same way with Scan Central, that you can use the results to break the build, to take a decision, you can do the same with Fortify on-premise, Fortify on-demand. Going back here, so we got our job submitted. So let me show you what happened here. So let me just scroll up. Wow, a lot of downloads. I'll make life easier. So while running, um, Maven was updating plugins, libraries, all that good stuff. Downloaded everything, and after all that happened, you see in the end. So I'll go back where we were. Okay, we'll see. You know that Fortify compressed and submitted a job um, for SSE. Going back to SSE, going back to Scan Central. Oh, everything happened. I talk too much sometimes. So everything already happened. And why I know the difference between those two? Because GitLab is on Linux, and I'm leveraging containers to run my run to use my to have a runner up, to have my GitLab up, and on containers, the user is a root user. So that's why I know against, the GitHub self-hosted agent that I was running on Windows, and it was on purpose because I wanted an agent, and I use this agent for different tasks, right? And I wanted an agent that I would be able to scan and compile .NET applications. So that's why I was leveraging Windows for GitHub. And on GitLab, since GitLab is basically Linux only, you can have Docker images on Windows, but it's Linux only. That's the way you differentiate the submitter of the job. But the sensor here on Scan Central is the same. So that's why you see the host name here having the same name. Just sneak peek, sorry, just a sneak peek. So you have the sensor and you can see the name of the sensor. And if you see here, 71EK, let's go back to your scan request, 71EK. So this is my sensor, the only sensor I have running. I have just a lab environment. I don't need that much, computational power to get my tasks done. Last but not least, let's talk about Bamboo. On Bamboo, we have a Fortify plugin. So let me go marketplace and just show you here. So we have a plugin, a native plugin for Bamboo. I already installed it. You can download it here and install manually. You can go under the Bamboo configuration and manage apps, and you can find your, and I hope I remember the credentials here. So you can come here, you manage your apps. If you see here, already installed it beforehand. You can upload after you download from the marketplace I just showed you, or you can just search it here and install it inside your Bamboo instance. After you install it, you go to your projects. So let me go back to my project here. I'll be using the same old 8-ball and just make it a little bit bigger, and I'll configure a plan. So you have your project, you create a plan, you go, in my case, I have a default job, and just for demonstration purpose, I'll be showing you the two approaches here. On Bamboo, I'm not using Scan Central, and that's on purpose because some customers, they just have microservices. They just have small applications. They don't need or they don't want to configure the Scan Central infrastructure. that's really nice, but serves for bigger environments. So you can just go there and configure your Fortify scan, installing the Fortify installer, installing your Fortify binaries on your directly on your sensor and or your agent, and run the scans from there. Same way you can do with your FOG with the FOG uploader. So we'll have a sneak peek on both tasks. I'll show you how you do this and what you have to do to get your results back on your SSC. Oh, just clicking here. That's a Fortify task. You have to tell Fortify, to tell the Bamboo plugin where's your source analyzer, and you can add it here. And you'll be looking over your configurations. First of all, you can provide memory informations for SCA. You can mark to update the rule packs prior to the scan execution. You can have the Fortify SCA clean. And for those that are familiar with Fortify, we have basically three steps using Fortify Source Analyzer that, Scan Central Desk just encapsulates all for you. So you have the Fortify SCA clean, where you clean the old translation tree you already did in the past. So when you're starting a new project or you're starting a new scan session, you will need, or you probably want everything fresh. So you can just run a clean, and you can see everything, the old tree deleted, and you're good to go to the next step. And you can run what we call a Fortify SCA translation step. Fortify SCA translation has different ways to use it. You can have a basic configuration. I was looking to use some more advanced features on our Maven plugin, so I clicked on advanced. But I'll just show you the base configuration here. So you're in my case, I'll have a Maven project. You can have Java, you can have Gradle, you can have what we call other, and other can be JavaScript and all other languages that Fortify supports. You can provide Maven options here. You can provide an exclude list, and this is helpful and powerful when you want to exclude some files, especially testing files, testing classes that just will add noise to your final result. So you can do this here. In my case, I just clicked advanced. I provided my Fortify Maven plugin translation information, and I also came here, clicked on run Fortify SCA scan. I could use this advanced to trigger a scan on Scan Central if I will. So there's a lot of ways you can leverage this plugin as well. I can provide an issue template on SSC. I can have a custom rule. I can have a Fortify scan option here. So different parameters that I want to do. And I can upload my results back. Same way I was doing with my Scan Central SAS configuration. I can have them uploaded after the fact on my SSC. I have the same project, the same version, so I'm using the same tool in the same box. So I'm not having different tools, different box. I'm always pointing to the same box, using the same configuration to make sure my results are consistent. Some timeout after the upload if I'm looking for a build failure criteria. Same way I could do on GitHub, GitLab, I can do it here. I save it, and The way it's set up, I have one agent that has the capability to run this job, and I can trigger that scan. And I'll run that scan in a minute for you. Same way on FOG. Here, I separated all the tasks so you could see differently from what you saw on GitLab and GitHub. Because here, as I split, all the tasks, I can show you a little bit. I can give you a more granular view on the way we'll do those things. So scan central package, so I'll package the source code and the libraries. FOG says upload, so leveraging the FOG uploader. I didn't do any fancy script here. I just came here, set up, pointing um, to a local path on my agent. I provided configurations around tokens, URLs, um, uh, release ID. That's important information you can retrieve from Fortify on Demand. The type of scan I'm gonna do, and the package I created. And the main difference between this configuration and the second one here is because in the end of this file, I have this dash I, capital I option where I can break the build if I will. So that's the only difference between what you saw. And this is the build failure criteria I talked about, while I was showing you the Fortify SCA task here. I'll keep those disabled because, to the spirit of the presentation, since I'm doing everything on premise, I'll just leverage the Fortify SCA on premise for this task as well. And I noticed that on your Fortify YouTube channel, you can see from different guys, very nice different guys, a lot of those configurations for FOG. So if you're more curious to see those in action, more in depth of the way I showed here, you can just go there and take a sneak peek on the videos. The Fortify YouTube channel is awesome. You find a lot of good information there. So you run a plan. I'll take a look at the logs. I love the logs because they tell me the truth. And you know, after I run this, I'll just upload this results on SCA and we're good to go. So now we are execution the translation phase, leveraging the Maven integration. So it is easier to find all the good information for the project, in terms of libraries, in terms where the different models of that projects are, and all that good stuff. And you can see it's working. So now I'm running the scan task, and it take less than 30 seconds to finish here and upload the results on SSC, and we can check there, the latest results. Unfortunately for this one, since we are doing the Fortify SCA, you cannot see the scanning tasks showing on your Scan Central tab on SSC. It won't give you that nice information on how your infrastructure is doing, or provide you a nice information on how to deal with the performance, and also the usage of your resources. So just finished here. Scan is done. Result is good to go on SSC. Job is green, so I'll go back there. I cannot see this here, so you take a look at the time here in the last scan we had. But if we go to the application, to the 8 ball, so you see The last scan happened 1 minute ago. So we're good to go. Results are there. You can check on the artifacts. You can see everything here. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I hope you had a very nice time here. Learn new features, new capabilities of Fortify. Thank you.